afternoon, students. Today I will be teaching about the topic otosclerosis. And this topic is for BSc third years. This is from Unit 1. So let's move on. First, starting with the introduction. Otosclerosis is a disease of otic capsule in which a new vascular spongy bone formation occurs, which causes ankylosis or fixation of the foot plate of the stapes, and progressive conductive deafness occurs. So we know that in the middle ear there are incus, stapes and malleus. Okay, so these are the three bony structures which are present in the middle ear. Okay, so what happens is if there is any abnormal bone formation, okay, any abnormal spongy bone formation which occurs where in the foot plate of the stapes, okay, where you can see here at the foot of the stape. Okay, so if there's any abnormal growth, so what happens is this would lead to progressive conductive deafness. Okay. So next, otosclerosis can result in conductive or sensory neural hearing loss. Okay, so conductive hearing loss means that a person will have hearing loss because of any obstruction in the sound waves, or if there's any passage of the sound which is blocked, or if there's any abnormality in the ear canal, so that is called conductive hearing loss. But what is sensory neural hearing loss is when the auditory nerves, okay, and as well as the vestibular nerves, they are affected, then patient will have the sensory neural hearing loss. Okay, so that is the difference. Conductive hearing loss meaning that it occurs when the passage of the sound is blocked, meaning that the clear passage for the sound waves to travel and to hit the go into the inner ear, that passage is blocked, so patient will have hearing loss. There will be no transmission of waves or vibration, therefore patient will have hearing difficulty or hearing loss. So that is nothing but conductive hearing loss. So this otosclerosis can cause conductive hearing loss or sensory neural hearing loss. This usually will begin in one ear. Okay, it will start in one ear, maybe the right ear, and then gradually it will affect the left ear also, or both the ears will be affected. Okay, so that is introduction about otosclerosis. So you can see in this picture, okay, this is the abnormal spongy bone growth that is occurring at the foot, okay, at the foot plate of the stapes. Okay, where is it occurring? At the stapes, not in the incus, not in the malleus, but where? At the foot of the stapes. So as you can see here also, so this is the foot of the stapes. Okay, so this orange color here, this is the abnormal growth. So let us see with the definition. So otosclerosis, or other meaning is hardening of the ear. It results from the formation of an abnormal spongy bone, like bone growth along the stapes in the middle ear. Okay, so like I said, if there's any abnormal bone growth at the foot of the stapes, this is the stape. We can see here this U shape. Okay, so this is called as stape. This is incus, this is malleus, and this is stape. So if there's any abnormal growth at the foot, okay, at the base of the stapes, then this is called otosclerosis. Okay, and this is the hardening of, or known as hardening of the ear. So with this new bone growth, because of this new bone growth, the stapes will become immobile. Okay, so the stapes will become fixed. They will not be able to move. Okay, so the stapes will become immobile, or the stapes will become fixed. This prevents the transmission as sound vibration into the ear. Okay, so what happens is, we know that in a normal hearing process, these stapes, okay, when there is sound vibration, these stapes will help in the transmission. Okay, it will help in the transmission of these sound vibrations to the inner ear, to the cochlea and to the semicircular canals. But if there is an abnormal growth, bony growth at the foot of the stapes. This will make the stapes become fixed. They will not be able to move, and therefore the sound vibration transmission will not take place, and this will lead to the patient of having conductive hearing loss. Okay, so this is one of the result. The result of otosclerosis is conductive hearing loss. Okay, so I hope this is clear. And otosclerosis usually affects both ears. So like I said, it will affect first the left ear or the right ear, and then the other ear will be affected. Okay, and eventually both the ears will be affected. Now, so here this is another picture. Okay, so this is the, you can see here, this is the malleus. Okay, here. So this is the malleus. Okay. Then we have the incus and we have the stape. This is the stape. Okay, you can see here, this is like a U shape, right? So this is the stape. So what happens at the base? This is the base or the foot of the stape. There is an abnormality. You can see here this yellow color. Okay, so this is an abnormal bony growth, spongy bony growth, which is formed at the foot of the stape. So this is nothing but otosclerosis. Okay, and because of this abnormal bony growth, the stapes will become fixed. They will not be able to move properly. So they are fixed, and the sound transmission, okay, the vibration of the sound transmission will be obstructed. It will not, the sound waves will not be transmitted to the inner ear, to the cochlea and to the semicircular canal. Okay, so patient will have conductive hearing loss. Since the sound waves will not be transmitted to the inner ear, so ultimately patient will have conductive hearing loss. They will not be able to hear whatever the sound is coming from outside. Next, etiology. What are the causes? Okay, so the exact cause is unknown. It is idiopathic, but there are some factors which can cause, or some factors they are at a high risk for developing otosclerosis. So let us see what are they. Now, one is hereditary. Okay, so family history of deafness is present in 50% of the cases. So a family, okay, having deafness. Okay, so in the future generations also they may have 50% of chances that they will develop otosclerosis. Next, sex, gender. Females are more affected than males. That is twice the number, 2 times. Okay, twice the number of males. Okay, so females are more affected. Next, age. Age is also another important factor. So between 20 to 30 years of age, and it occurs about this age group, it is a very high peak. Okay, and it rarely starts before 10 years or after 40 years. So this is very rare to occur in the childhood age and above 40 years, but the high peak, it occurs about what age? 20 to 30 years. So this is adult life, right? Adulthood. So so mostly adulthood age is the age group for which are at a higher risk for developing otosclerosis. Next, pregnancy. Otosclerosis may be initiated or aggravated by pregnancy, but it has never caused by it. So pregnancy can also be one of the cause, but it has shown that many of pregnant ladies may not develop otosclerosis. Other factors are metabolic disorder like diabetes mellitus, okay, endocrine disorders, vitamin deficiency, okay, hypothyroidism, or focal infection, etc. So infections also plays an important role in otosclerosis. So these are some of the factors that can cause otosclerosis. But the exact cause why it occurs, it is unknown. So otosclerosis are of 3 types. One is stapedial otosclerosis, okay, coming from the word stapes. Next, second type is cochlear otosclerosis, coming from the word cochlea. And last is histological otosclerosis, which means that there is asymptomatic, there are no symptoms, and it causes conductive hearing loss, or it causes sensory neural hearing loss. So let us see what is stapedial otosclerosis. It causes stapes fixation. Okay, so this type of otosclerosis, it causes the stapes to become fixed. Okay, it becomes fixed. It is not movable. And conductive deafness is very common. Lesions start in fistula antifenestra. Next, cochlear otosclerosis. Okay, so there are types of stapedial otosclerosis, that is anterior focus, which occurs anterior to the oval window. Next, posterior focus, meaning behind the oval window, and circumferential, which means that the whole of the footplate is affected. Okay, it is fixed. Next, cochlear otosclerosis. It involves region of round window and may cause sensory neural hearing loss, which is due to liberation of toxic materials. So your toxic materials also play an important part. And what happens is, in cochlear otosclerosis, the round window, okay, not the oval window, but the round window is affected, and this causes sensory neural hearing loss. Next, histologic otosclerosis. It remains asymptomatic, and it causes neither conductive nor sensory neural hearing loss. So it does not cause any hearing loss. Next, signs and symptoms: tinnitus, conductive hearing loss, red bluish discoloration of tympanic membrane. So these are some signs and symptoms of otosclerosis. Now coming to the diagnostic test, otoscopy. Okay, where we will visualize the inner ear or the middle ear or the external ear. Next, direct observation. Next, microscopic examination, audiometry to check the hearing test. Then Rini's test and history of hearing loss. Okay, because genetics play an important role, so family history should be asked, and we have to check for any occurrence of otosclerosis in the family. Next, coming to the treatment, medical. There is no medical treatment to cure otosclerosis, but we can give sodium fluoride in a dose of 20 mg twice a day for 2 years, and sodium fluoride is given with calcium, okay, tablet calcium. Why? Because sodium fluoride and calcium, they will stop the rapid progress of otosclerosis. Okay, so these two medications we are given together. Next, another management is amplification. Excellent alternative. It is non-surgical, okay, and patients, it is given to those patients who do not require any surgery. Hearing aids conditions. Okay, so amplifications are one of the hearing aids. Okay, so I've taught you about the hearing aids. Okay, so these hearing aids conditions, this amplification is given when the patient is unfit for surgery. Okay, it is given in elderly patients. Okay, these are provided for elderly patients. Then those who are not willing to do any operation or surgical management of the ears, and after surgery, if not improved, deafness. Okay, so it is given in such conditions. So amplification, it is one of the hearing aids. It is given in these conditions who are unfit for the surgery, those who do not want to do the surgery. It is given after the surgery if deafness is not improved, and it is given in elderly patients. So hearing aids is also another management. Next, coming to the surgical management, one is stapedotomy. Stapedotomy, there are two surgical managements, stapedotomy and stapedectomy. Okay, so stapedotomy is opening or incision of the middle ear, okay, basically of the stapes. So they will make an incision, and they will open the area around the stapes, around the middle ear. So this surgical management is less trauma to the it provides less trauma to the oval window, and there is less possibility of damage to the inner ear. Why? Because only the middle ear is being opened. It is being surgically opened. Okay, there is an incision made near the stapes. Next, in addition, revision surgery, if required, is easier due to preserved anatomy. So if any revision, if any other reconstructive surgery has to be done in that same area, then stapedectomy is the right surgical management. Next, stapedectomy. Stapedectomy is removal of the stapes. Okay, so remember, otomy meaning opening. Okay, opening of a specific area. So this is opening of the stapes, and stapedectomy is removal of the stapes. So here the stapes are being removed. Okay, the stapes where the abnormal spongy bone growth is growing, that area and the stapes are being removed. Okay, and they will be inserting a new artificial stapes, or we call it as prosthesis. Okay, so this prosthesis may be Teflon piston. Okay, so these are some of the materials that are being made. They may be Teflon piston, they can be stainless steel piston, platinum Teflon, or titanium Teflon piston. So these are some of the materials of the prosthesis or of the artificial stapes. So they can be Teflon, okay, Teflon material, or they can be stainless steel, platinum Teflon, or titanium Teflon. So it depends upon these doctors, and depending upon the patients also, whichever material they want to, whichever company they want to use for the artificial stapes that they can use. So this is a picture here. So this is the overgrowth bone, okay, the autosclerosis, which is attached to the stapes, the foot plate of the stapes. Okay, so what do? They will remove this whole area, the autosclerosis also, and the bony growth, and they will remove the stapes also. So you can see this is a picture, and after that they will insert a new artificial stapes, that is prosthesis. So prosthesis replaces the deceased bone. So this is the new, this is a new prosthesis, okay, or this is a new artificial stapes. And some bone is being removed, meaning that abnormal spongy bone is being removed. That is, this procedure is called stapedectomy. Okay, so this is also another photograph. Okay, so you can see this is the overgrowth of the bone. This is the stapes. Okay, so here what happens is this stape is being removed, and some of the portion of the overgrowth or the abnormal bony spongy growth that has been removed. This is a picture, and they have placed a new prosthesis. Okay, they have placed a new artificial stape. So this is stapedectomy. Okay, so this is the artificial stapes, and this is the prosthesis that is being applied. So this is all artificial, depending upon whichever material the patient wants to put. Now coming to the nursing care, operated ear, okay, should be kept upside for 24 hours after OT. Check the vital signs of the patient, caution in ambulation, help in ambulating the patient if any dizziness occurs. Then reassure dizziness is temporary. You have to tell the patient that dizziness is just a temporary phase, not permanent. Observe for any signs and symptoms of bleeding, drainage, nausea, vomiting. We have to assess for vertigo. Then we provide a quiet area. We should give rest to the patient, and we can give sedatives to the patient in case of vertigo. Next, to prevent any infection, then we can give antibiotic, and patient will be having pain because of the surgery, so analgesic medications will be given to the patient. Then observe for nystagmus or signs and symptoms of facial palsy or facial paralysis. Next, management is medicated ribbon gauze pack should be removed after 5 to 7 days. So the dressing should be sterile, should be in a sterile technique, and it should be the gauze pack should be removed after 5 to 7 days. And decongestant is given to dilate the eustachian tube. Discharge advice. What are the discharge advices that we have to give to the patient before discharging them from the hospital? Avoid water in the ear for 2 months. Avoid loud noise. Avoid blowing of the nose and mouth open when sneezing. Okay, we should close the mouth while sneezing. Then avoid straining, bending, heavy lifting, and infection. And antibiotic full course should be taken by the patient. That is maybe for 7 days or maybe for 2 weeks. Okay, whichever the doctor has prescribed, whichever medication or antibiotic the doctor has been prescribed, that should be taken full course. Nursing diagnosis: 1. Risk for infection related to surgical procedure or process, risk for trauma related to hearing difficulty, anxiety related to disease condition, and last is knowledge deficit related to surgical procedure and disease condition. So these are some of the nursing diagnoses that you can apply in this disease condition, that is otosclerosis. So I hope it is clear with this otosclerosis. So thank you, class.